Good morning, Witta's Wolves. It is Thursday, April 9th, and guess what? This is the last day of our week this week because tomorrow is Good Friday, and the school district and the state has said we get a holiday. So, yay! Today's our last day of learning this week. Yesterday, I really enjoyed getting to meet with you on Zoom. It was so wonderful to see your voices, hear your voices, see your faces, see the work that you've been doing, and to hear from you. I love that we got to have Mr. Beatty and Miss Schweitzer, Mr. D'Amico, Miss Rosinski, and Miss Kiefer with us as well. So thank you for taking the time. Two of you weren't able to meet with us, but I was able to Zoom with you later that day, and next week we'll all be there together. So thank you for taking the time to do that. I'm so loved getting to spend time with you virtually. So on Monday, Mrs. Witta was in Montana. On Tuesday, Mrs. Witta was in Mississippi. Where in the world is Mrs. Witta this morning? Well, I am in a state that is in the northeast part of our country. It is a very small state, and if you think about a pattern that may be happening with our states, this state would follow that pattern. So I'll leave you with that. Not very many clues, but I'll see if you can figure out where in the world Miss Witta is this morning. So as far as assignments for today, I looked at our reading assignment, and you're going to listen to Arnie the Donut. It's on, you're going to listen to it being read to you. You're going to identify one important event in the story that leads to the conflict or the problem. Use text evidence. You know what that means. That means you're looking for what in the story supports the important event that leads to the conflict. And you're going to share that with me. So that should be at least 5 sentences that you're going to share with me. You do want to use complete sentences. Do your best on your spelling as well. For math, today you are going to use cubes, and you're going to complete, it's called Performance Task Week 3, and you're going to be solving those math problems using cubes. All right, and then in science, you're going to be comparing the lady beetle life cycle. You did that last week. It's also in STEM scopes that you read on Tuesday. And the tomato plant life cycle. You guys did the tomato plant life cycle on Monday. You're going to use your double bubble map. Remember, for the double bubble map, in the middle are the similarities. What's the same between the lady beetle life cycle and the tomato life cycle? What's different? What's different about the tomato life cycle than from the lady beetle, and same from the lady beetle for the tomato life cycle? Those will go on the outside. All right, so continue your great work with that. I will be looking at what all you've done this week and adding dojos, and by Saturday I hope to have them all in, and I'll be able to figure out if you have 15 points. If you have 15 points, you will get a prize. All right, since we finished Charlotte's Web, I'm going to go ahead and start a new book. Our new book is called Freckle Juice. Oh, that probably looks backwards to you. So anyway, Judy Blume Freckle Juice, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Chapter 1. Andrew Marcus wanted freckles. Nicky Lane had freckles. He had about 1 million of them. They covered his face, his ears, and the back of his neck. Andrew didn't have any freckles. He had 2 warts on his finger, but they didn't do him any good at all. If he had freckles like Nicky, his mother would never know if his neck was dirty. so he wouldn't have to wash, and then he'd never be late for school. Andrew had plenty of time to look at Nicky's freckles. He sat right behind him in class. Once he even tried to count them, but when he got to 86, Miss Kelly called, "Andrew, are you paying attention?" "Yes, Miss Kelly," Andrew said. "I know that would never happen to any of you. You always pay attention." There's a picture of him looking at the freckles. "Good, Andrew. I'm glad to hear that. Now, will you please pick up your chair and join your reading group? We are all waiting for you." Andrew stood up in a hurry. His reading group giggled, especially Sharon. He couldn't stand that Sharon. She thought she knew everything. He picked up his chair and carried it to the corner where his reading group sat. "You may begin, Andrew," Miss Kelly said. "Page 64. Andrew turned the pages in his book. 64. He couldn't find it. The pages stuck together. Why did Miss Kelly have to pick him? Everybody else already had their books open to the right page. Sharon kept giggling. She covered her mouth to keep it in the noise, but Andrew knew what was going on. He finally found page 64, right where it was supposed to be, between pages 63 and 65. If he had his own freckles, he wouldn't have to count Nicky Lane's. Then he'd hear Miss Kelly when she called reading groups, and nobody would laugh at him. Later, when the bell rang, Andrew poked Nicky Lane. "What do you want?" Nicky asked, turning around. Here's Andrew joining his reading group. "I was wondering about your freckles," Andrew said. "Oh yeah? What about them?" Andrew felt pretty stupid. "Well, how did you get them?" "What do you mean, how?" "You get born with them, that's how." Andrew thought that's what Nicky would say. Some help he was. "Line up, boys and girls," Miss Kelly said. "Time to go home now. Time to go home now. Sharon, you may lead the girls. Andrew, you may lead the boys." Some luck. Just when he got to be leader, he had to stand next to Sharon. When they were in line, Sharon whispered to Andrew, "Psst, I know how they get them." "How to get what?" Andrew asked. "Freckles," Sharon said. "Who asked you?" "I heard you ask Nicky about his." Sharon ran her tongue along her teeth. She was always doing that. "Do you want to know how to get them?" Sharon asked. "Maybe," Andrew told her. "It'll cost you 50 cents. I have a secret recipe for freckle juice," Sharon whispered. Here's Andrew and Sharon as leaders whispering to one another. A secret recipe? Uh-huh. Sharon's tongue reminded Andrew of a frog catching flies. He wondered if Sharon ever got a mouthful of bugs the way she opened her mouth and wiggled her tongue around. Andrew inspected Sharon's face. "You don't even have freckles," he said. "Look close," Sharon said. "I've got 6 on my nose." "Big deal. A lot of good 6'll do." "You can get as many as you want. 6 was enough for me. It all depended on how much freckle juice you drink." Andrew didn't believe Sharon for a minute. Not 1 minute. There was no such thing as freckle juice. Andrew had never heard of it before. So, Monday we will read chapter 2 and find out a little bit more about Andrew, Sharon, and freckle juice. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, a happy Easter. Sunday is Easter Sunday, and I will look forward to meeting back with you again for a morning message on Monday morning. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.